Hello there, and a very gentle welcome to our quiet haven this evening, as the day's echoes soften and a peaceful stillness envelops us, inviting a journey for the mind. Tonight, we travel to a time of profound change and quiet resilience, to witness the return of a young man named Serhiy to his cherished homeland in the spring of 1950. Our story unfolds in a village nestled in western Ukraine, where the shadows of recent turmoil were slowly giving way to the determined light of rebuilding and the enduring hope for peace. Serhiy, a young man who had spent 5 long years in the hidden world of the underground resistance, finally walked the familiar paths towards his native village. His heart a fragile mix of anticipation and weariness. The April air, fresh with the scent of damp earth and new growth, carried whispers of home, a melody he had longed to hear through countless challenging days and nights. He observed how the landscape, though scarred in places, was asserting its timeless beauty, the fields showing the first tender shoots of green, a promise of sustenance and renewal for the community. Each step brought him closer, and with every familiar bend in the road, a cascade of memories washed over him, painting vivid pictures of a childhood spent under these very skies. As he drew nearer, he noticed the subtle yet significant signs of recovery. The village was no longer frozen in despair but alive with the quiet hum of restoration and daily life. He saw that the broken window panes in some neighbors' cottages, stark reminders of past conflicts, had been carefully replaced with new, hopeful frames, letting in the gentle spring light once more. The distant, melodic sound of the church bell, ringing out for the Sunday service, resonated through the valley, a comforting symbol of enduring faith and the community's spiritual heart. Around the village, the vast cornfields, once perhaps fallow or disrupted, were now adorned with a vibrant, fresh green hue, a testament to the villagers' tireless efforts and their connection to the land. Serhiy's gaze searched for the one place that meant more than any other, the old family cottage where his mother waited, a beacon of love and steadfastness in his memory. And there she was, just as he had pictured her countless times, sitting on the worn wooden porch of their ancestral home, her hands diligently working, sewing a traditional embroidered shirt. Her silvered hair was caught by a gentle breeze, and her posture, though perhaps a little more stooped with time and worry, still held a quiet dignity that he deeply admired. As he approached, her head lifted, and her eyes, wells of deep emotion, met his. In them, he saw a flicker of disbelief, then a dawning, overwhelming wave of recognition and joy. Tears welled, a mixture of profound happiness at his safe return and a lingering sorrow for the years lost, for the anxieties that had etched lines upon her beloved face. She rose slowly, her movements conveying the weight of her experiences, and then, with a soft cry, she opened her arms, and Serhiy stepped into an embrace that felt like salvation. Words were few at first, the reunion too profound for easy speech, but the language of touch, of shared tears, and of knowing glances spoke volumes of their deep and broken bond. She gently led him inside the small, familiar cottage, its interior filled with the scent of dried herbs and the comforting presence of cherished, simple belongings from his childhood. Later, Serhiy sat with his mother, her hand often reaching out to touch his, as if to reassure herself that he was truly, tangibly present and not a figment of her longing. In her eyes, he saw not only the immense relief of his return but also a subtle, persistent anxiety, a reflection of the uncertain times they lived in and the questions that hung in the air. She spoke softly of the village, of the neighbors, and of the pervasive talk about the new power that now governed their lives, a presence that inspired both cautious hope and quiet apprehension. Her heart, she confided, still remembered the echoes of war, the fear, and the losses, making it difficult to fully trust the pronouncements of peace and stability from unfamiliar authorities. Serhiy listened intently, absorbing her words, understanding the delicate balance between the desire for normalcy and the ingrained caution learned through hardship and unpredictable change. He began to walk through the village himself, greeting familiar faces, some aged by time and worry, others bright with the resilient spirit of youth, all part of this tapestry of return. He saw how neighbors were helping one another, sharing tools, offering support, and pooling their resources to mend fences, repair roofs, and cultivate the land that sustained them all. The air in the small homesteads often carried the comforting aroma of freshly baked bread, a simple yet powerful symbol of domesticity, nourishment, and the enduring hope for better days ahead. He started to inquire among the more experienced villagers, seeking their advice on how best to re-establish his family's small farm, to coax life back from the soil with his own hands. They shared their knowledge generously, speaking of crop rotation, of mending old plows, and of the subtle signs of the seasons that their ancestors had passed down through generations. Serhiy felt a deep connection to this work, a sense of purpose in the honest toil of cultivation, a way to heal not only the land but also the weariness within his own soul. He learned about the local markets, slowly re-emerging, where surplus produce could be exchanged, fostering a sense of economic revival, however modest, within their close-knit community. The children of the village, many of whom had known only times of scarcity or disruption, played with a joyful abandon in the lanes, their laughter bright, hopeful sound. Their games, simple and imaginative, were a reminder that life, in its most fundamental essence, always sought to renew itself, to find joy even amidst challenging circumstances. Serhiy watched them, a gentle smile touching his lips, seeing in their untroubled play a vision of the peaceful future he and so many others had fought and longed for. He observed the village blacksmith, his hammer ringing rhythmically as he forged new tools from old metal, a metaphor for the community's ability to reshape its destiny from the remnants of the past. The local women gathered at the well, not just to draw water, but to share news, offer comfort, and weave the social fabric that held their community together through trying times. Their conversations, a blend of practical concerns and shared memories, were a testament to their strength and adaptability, their voices a soothing undercurrent to the village's daily rhythm. Serhiy noticed the small gardens blooming beside many cottages, vibrant patches of color and sustenance, tended with care and representing individual efforts towards beauty and self-sufficiency. These small acts of cultivation, of creating and nurturing, were acts of defiance against despair, quiet affirmations of life's persistence and its inherent worth. As the days turned into weeks, Serhiy found a steady rhythm in his new life, working the land from dawn till dusk, feeling the sun on his back and the earth beneath his feet. The physical labor was demanding, yet it brought a profound sense of satisfaction, a feeling of contributing directly to the healing and sustenance of his family and his community. He learned to read the sky for signs of rain, to understand the subtle language of the changing seasons, reacquainting himself with the ancient wisdom of the land he called home. The anxieties of his past life in the underground began to recede, replaced by the immediate concerns of planting, tending, and the hope for a bountiful harvest to come. He saw how the new power manifested in various ways through official notices posted in the village square, through occasional visits from unfamiliar administrators, and through new regulations. There was a sense of careful navigation required, of learning new rules and unspoken boundaries, while still holding onto the core values and traditions that define their identity. The villagers adapted with a quiet pragmatism, understanding that survival often meant finding a way to coexist with forces beyond their immediate control, while preserving their inner spirit. This period was a delicate dance between accepting new realities and safeguarding the cultural heritage that had sustained them through centuries of change and upheaval. One evening, as the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Serhiy stood at the edge of a newly plowed field, overlooking the familiar landscape. The majestic Carpathian Mountains formed a distant, timeless backdrop, their peaks silhouetted against the fading light, silent witnesses to generations of human endeavor and endurance. A profound sense of peace settled over him, a quiet understanding dawning in his heart as he watched the day give way to the tranquil embrace of twilight. He realized, with a clarity that resonated deep within his soul, that life under a peaceful sky, the simple ability to work, to love, and to belong, was indeed the most precious treasure of all. This quiet moment of revelation solidified his resolve to contribute to the rebuilding of not just his farm, but the spirit of his community, fostering hope and resilience. He envisioned a future where children could grow without fear, where families could thrive, and where the land would yield its bounty in an atmosphere of security and cooperation. The hardships of the past had forged in him a deep appreciation for the simple dignities of a peaceful existence, for the bonds of family and community that sustained the human spirit. He knew the path ahead would not be without its challenges, but the taste of freedom and the warmth of home provided a powerful motivation to persevere and to build anew. The stars began to emerge in the darkening sky, twinkling like distant diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth, ancient and unchanging, offering a sense of perspective. The gentle sounds of the evening enveloped the village, the distant lowing of cattle, the soft murmur of conversations from nearby cottages, the chirping of crickets heralding the night. Serhiy felt a profound sense of gratitude for this return, for the chance to reclaim his life and to be a part of this enduring cycle of renewal and hope in his beloved Ukraine. He turned back towards the warmth of his mother's cottage, his heart filled with a quiet determination and a deep, abiding love for his homeland and its resilient people. The scent of wood smoke from hearth fires mingled with the cool night air, a comforting aroma that spoke of shelter, family, and the continuity of life through all its seasons. He understood that true strength lay not in conflict, but in the patient, persistent work of rebuilding, of nurturing growth, and of fostering understanding amongst neighbors. His journey had been long and arduous, but it had brought him to this place of profound realization, where the true value of peace was understood with every beat of his heart. And as he prepared for rest, the weariness in his limbs was a good weariness, earned through honest work and the promise of a new day dawning with fresh possibilities. Tonight, we've walked alongside Serhiy, witnessing his quiet return and the resilient spirit of a community determined to heal and rebuild under a hopeful sky. His story is a gentle reminder of the enduring human capacity for hope, for finding peace after turmoil, and for cherishing the simple, profound gift of a life lived in harmony with the land. May the tranquility of this Ukrainian village, with its quiet determination and the promise of new beginnings, settle in your heart as you drift into a peaceful and restorative sleep. Let the echoes of the church bells and the scent of fresh earth lull you into dreams filled with gentle landscapes and the quiet strength found in returning home to a place of belonging. Let us settle in, dear friend, as the world outside grows quiet, and journey together into a story from a time of change, a tale we call in the third-class carriage. Our scene opens in the heart of autumn, October of 1950, a period when the echoes of a great war were slowly fading, replaced by the sounds of rebuilding and the murmur of new dreams. We find ourselves with Maria, a young woman of 18, standing on the cusp of a great adventure, her spirit alight with the promise of what lay ahead in the vibrant city of Odessa. She was leaving her hometown of Kyiv, a city of ancient golden domes and wide avenues, now steadily healing, to pursue her ambition of studying journalism by the Black Sea. Accompanying her on this significant journey was her beloved grandfather, Mikita, a man whose kind eyes held the wisdom of years and the gentle strength of a life well lived. Mikita, a former railwayman, knew the rhythmic language of the trains intimately and was now looking forward to visiting his other grandchild, who lived near the coast, a joyful reunion awaiting. The Kyiv station buzzed with a subdued energy, a tapestry of farewells and hopeful departures, the scent of coal smoke mingling with the crisp October air, a familiar perfume of travel. They found their places in the third-class carriage, a long, bustling space already humming with the lives and stories of its many occupants, a microcosm of the wider world. The carriage was a lively theater of human experience, filled with families, workers, and students, each person a thread in the vast fabric of the post-war era, moving towards their own tomorrows. Couples leaned close, their voices a blend of concerns and aspiration, discussing the current prices of essential bread, a staple that spoke volumes about the daily efforts of the time. Others spoke of grand construction projects sprouting across the land, symbols of recovery and progress, their words painting pictures of a nation diligently working to mend and grow stronger. Whispers and conjectures about the new 5-year plan drifted through the carriage, a topic that carried implications of collective effort and government-led directives for the future. Maria, with her keen observational instincts already awakening, absorbed the atmosphere, her gaze often drifting to the window, eager for the unfolding panorama of her homeland. She watched as the urban landscapes of Kyiv gradually gave way to the vast, open countryside, a transition that mirrored her own journey from the familiar to the unknown. Golden fields of harvested wheat stretched far into the distance, their stubbled expanse a testament to the enduring bounty of the land, even after times of hardship and toil. The train chugged along its steel path, its steady rhythm a comforting lullaby, punctuated by the cheerful whistle that announced their approach to smaller, wooden stations dotting the route. At these quaint stops, friendly conductors, their faces weathered by sun and wind, would appear, their uniforms a familiar sight, their presence a reassurance of safe passage. Many of them recognized Grandfather Mikita, their warm greetings and shared reminiscences a testament to his long years of service on these very railway lines before the war. They would share brief, hearty exchanges, speaking of old colleagues, of changes on the railway, their easy camaraderie a reminder of the tight-knit communities forged through shared work. Maria listened to these interactions, a quiet smile playing on her lips, feeling a sense of connection to this world her grandfather knew so well, a world of steadfast duty. The journey was a slow unfolding of landscapes, each mile revealing a new vista, from dense forests giving way to gentle, rolling hills. Under the vast, pale blue sky, she saw small villages nestled in valleys, smoke curling from chimneys, glimpses of everyday life continuing with quiet resilience, children waving as the train passed them by. These scenes etched themselves into her memory, fuel for the stories she yearned to tell, stories of ordinary people and their extraordinary capacity for hope and perseverance. Her thoughts often turned to Odessa, to the university, to the bustling newsrooms she imagined, a place where words could shape understanding and bridge divides in society. As the train journeyed further south, the air began to carry a different quality, a subtle hint of the sea, even though it was still many miles away, a promise on the breeze. The train eventually slowed, its rhythmic clatter diminishing as it approached the industrial city of Zaporizhia, a significant hub of burgeoning post-war manufacturing and production. A different kind of energy pulsed here, the thrum of machinery, the sight of tall chimneys reaching towards the sky, speaking of human endeavor on a grand, ambitious scale. When the train came to a halt at the Zaporizhia station, the air was thick with the metallic tang of industry and the distant hum of powerful engines at work. Maria, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and youthful idealism, gently tugged at her grandfather's sturdy sleeve, her voice filled with an earnest excitement. She pointed towards the colossal structure of the Zaporizhia iron ore combine, its sprawling complex a formidable silhouette against the horizon, a titan of metal and might. "Grandfather, can you even imagine?" she whispered, her gaze fixed on the immense factory. "How profoundly our country will transform when these mighty plants are working at their full capacity." Her words were imbued with the fervent optimism of her generation, a belief in the power of collective effort to forge a brighter, more prosperous future for everyone. She envisioned a land revitalized, not just by agriculture, but by the roaring furnaces and tireless machinery that promised new materials, new opportunities, and a new era of strength. Grandfather Mikita listened, a soft, knowing smile gracing his lips as he observed his granddaughter's passionate outburst, her spirit so full of forward-looking zeal. He reached out a gentle hand and playfully tucked a stray lock of her dark hair behind her ear, his touch conveying a deep affection and understanding beyond words. His voice, when he spoke, was quiet, yet carried the weight of experience and a profound, unwavering faith in the human spirit, and especially in her. "My dear Maria," he said softly, his eyes twinkling with pride, "you will be the one to write about all of this in your articles, capturing these moments of change. You will find the words," he continued, his tone encouraging, "to convince people that the shadows of war are truly behind us now, that the past is settled. And you will show them," he concluded, his voice filled with a gentle conviction, "that the future unfolding before us desires our dedicated work, our innovation, and our enduring love." His words resonated deeply within Maria, a comforting affirmation of her chosen path, a reminder of the responsibility and the privilege that came with being a storyteller. She understood then that journalism was not just about reporting facts, but about weaving narratives that could inspire, heal, and guide people towards a shared, hopeful vision. The train whistle blew once more, a signal for departure, and slowly, the carriages began to move, leaving the industrial might of Zaporizhia behind them on their southward journey. A new sense of purpose settled over Maria, her earlier nervousness now tempered by a quiet determination, her grandfather's words echoing like a guiding star in her mind. The remaining hours of the journey passed in a comfortable silence, interspersed with Mikita's gentle anecdotes of his railway days or observations about the changing light. Maria watched the landscape transform again, the soil becoming richer, the vegetation lusher, signs that they were drawing ever closer to the fertile lands near the Black Sea. The anticipation in the carriage grew palpable as they neared their final destination. Passengers began to gather their belongings, a buzz of excitement replacing the earlier hum. Finally, with a long sigh of brakes and a gentle lurch, the train pulled into the grand station of Odessa, a city famed for its beautiful architecture and cosmopolitan spirit. Stepping onto the platform, Maria felt a wave of new sensations, the salty tang in the air, the vibrant sounds of a bustling port city, a sense of arrival. Grandfather Mikito, with a contented sigh, guided her through the throng, his presence a steady anchor in this new, exciting environment that awaited her exploration. They made their way from the station, and soon, the vast, shimmering expanse of the Black Sea came into view, a breathtaking sight that stole Maria's breath away. The water stretched out to the horizon, its surface sparkling under the afternoon sun, a deep, mesmerizing blue that seemed to hold ancient secrets and endless possibilities. The sea air was fresh and invigorating, carrying the cries of gulls and the distant horns of ships, a symphony of maritime life that was entirely new to Maria. For both Maria and her grandfather, that first, expansive view of the sea felt like a magical promise, a tangible symbol of the new life that was beginning. It represented boundless opportunities for Maria, a vast ocean of knowledge to explore in her studies, and a horizon of stories waiting to be discovered and shared. For Mikita, it was the joy of reunion, the peace of the coast, and the quiet satisfaction of seeing his granddaughter embark on her own path with such courage and hope. The rhythmic wash of the waves against the shore seemed to whisper of resilience, of constant movement and renewal, a soothing balm after years of turmoil and rebuilding. Maria felt a profound sense of peace settle over her, the vastness of the sea mirroring the expansive future she felt opening up before her very eyes. The journey in the third-class carriage had been more than just a physical passage from one city to another. It had been a journey of reflection, connection, and profound inspiration. It had carried her through the heart of her country, showing her its enduring spirit, its industrious drive, and the quiet hopes of its people for a better tomorrow. And as she stood there, with the scent of the sea filling her lungs and her grandfather's wise words echoing in her heart, Maria knew she was ready to begin. The promise of Odessa, of her studies, and of the stories she would tell, stretched before her, as vast and inviting as the sea itself, a future waiting to be written. She would carry the memory of the golden wheat fields, the friendly conductors, the mighty factories, and her grandfather's unwavering belief in her, into this new chapter. The war was indeed behind them, as Mikita had said, and the future, rich with the potential for dedicated work and heartfelt love, was calling her name. And so, under the vast Odyssean sky, with the gentle murmur of the waves as her welcome, Maria embraced the beginning of her new life, her heart full of courage. The third-class carriage had delivered her not just to a city, but to the threshold of her dreams, a young journalist ready to capture the pulse of her time. The sea breeze whispered tales of adventure and learning, and Maria listened, ready to embark on the grand story that was hers to live and to share with the world. Let the gentle rhythm of that hopeful journey by train, and the calming presence of the sea, now guide you into a peaceful and restorative sleep, dear friend. May your own dreams be filled with the promise of new beginnings, and the quiet strength found in love, work, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Rest now, and let the echoes of Maria's story lull you into a deep and tranquil slumber, until the morning light brings a new day. Hello there, and welcome to a quiet moment as twilight descends, bringing with it a gentle hush that settles over the world. Perfect for a story of chance encounters and unexpected beginnings under vast summer skies, where destiny often wears a simple disguise. Tonight our thoughts journey back to a particularly warm August in the year 1950 to a sun-drenched dusty roadside somewhere in the heart of Ukraine, where a simple everyday mishap unexpectedly paved the way for a lifetime of cherished shared memories between two souls. Our tale is affectionately called The Wedding on the Highway, a narrative that unfolds around Andriy and Katerina, whose individual paths were destined to cross in the most unassuming of circumstances, blossoming almost instantly into something truly special. and enduring. The month was a sweltering August, the year precisely 1950, and the relentless Ukrainian sun beat down with an insistent, almost tangible warmth upon the long winding ribbon of road that stretched for many kilometers between the cities of Kharkov and Dnipropetrovsk. A rather sturdy deep blue Moskvich 401, a vehicle that was becoming an increasingly common sight on the roads, and those hopeful post-warriors hummed its way steadily along this very highway. Its solitary driver, a focused young engineer named Andriy, deep in thought about the journey ahead. He was purposefully heading towards the monumental construction site of a vast new dam, a project brimming with national promise and demanding his sharp, insightful expertise. His mind was already preoccupied with complex blueprints, stress calculations, and the logistics of managing a large workforce. Suddenly, a jarring, metallic thud from below, followed by a telltale and unwelcome lurch of the vehicle, brutally interrupted the rhythmic drone of the engine. The car began to pull heavily and dangerously to one side, announcing an inconvenient and frustrating flat tire. With an audible sigh of profound resignation that mingled with the dust motes dancing in the sunbeams, Andriy carefully steered the ailing Moskvich to the parched, dusty shoulder of the road. The ensuing silence after the engines cut off dramatically amplifying the oppressive afternoon heat. He stepped out onto the baked earth, his brow deeply furrowed with a potent mixture of immediate frustration at the delay and the practical concern of a tight schedule. He could ill afford to break surveying the sadly deflated rubber with a thoroughly critical and experienced eye. The still air hung thick and heavy, carrying the distinct, earthy scent of sun-baked soil from the surrounding fields and the distant, subtle fragrance of wildflowers, and for a fleeting moment, Andriy felt utterly and comfortably alone with his sudden predicament on this quiet, seemingly deserted stretch of highway. Just as he began to diligently wrestle with the heavy jack and locate the spare wheel in the boot, a small weathered wooden gate almost hidden in the dense hedgerow directly opposite where his car had limped to a halt creaked open with a protesting groan. From this unexpected opening emerged a young woman, Katerina, her sudden appearance a surprising and refreshing splash of vibrant life against the otherwise sleepy sun-drowsed rural backdrop. Her movements imbued with a natural grace and an observant, thoughtful stillness that caught Andriy's attention. Her simple dress, fashioned from a light, breathable cotton fabric in a pale summer shade, was impeccably neat and tidy, and upon her dark, neatly plaited hair rested a charmingly woven, delicate wreath of freshly picked wildflowers, their blues, yellows, and reds, a vibrant splash of color. In her hands, she cradled an old-fashioned bellows camera with a surprising air of practiced professionalism, its polished wooden body and brass lens glinting brightly as she surveyed the entire scene before her. Andriy, the car, the flat tire, with an artist's uniquely thoughtful and discerning gaze. She offered Andriy a polite, almost shy nod of her head, a silent yet eloquent acknowledgement of his rather obvious presence and his unfortunate mechanical troubles. Her eyes, when they met his, briefly, appearing both curious and unexpectedly kind, holding no judgment. Then, to Andriy's considerable and mounting surprise, Katerina slowly and deliberately raised her camera, not aiming it towards him as he might have expected, but directly and intently at the afflicted, deflated wheel of his Moskvich, focusing with meticulous care as if it were a rare artifact. She began to meticulously photograph the flat tire from various angles, capturing its crumpled, deflated form, the patterns of dust on its surface, and the surrounding sun-scorched grass. Her actions precise and utterly absorbed, as if she were documenting a piece of found art or a poignant symbol. Andriy, initially quite taken aback and admittedly slightly irritated by this unusual and unexpected photographic attention to his very personal misfortune, watched her for a long moment, his frown deepening considerably under the intense glare of the mid-afternoon summer sun, wondering at her motives. He had perhaps anticipated a hesitant offer of assistance, or at the very least some simple-spoken curiosity about his plight, but this focused, almost reverent photographic interest in his car's mechanical failure was certainly not a reaction he had remotely anticipated or understood. Yet, as he continued to observe her genuine absorption in her task, the careful way she patiently framed each individual shot, a reluctant, almost imperceptible smile began to tug at the corners of his lips, effectively disarming his initial wave of annoyance and replacing it with curiosity. Thank you for the artistic interest in my predicament, he finally called out, his voice carrying a clear note of dry amusement that cut through the afternoon stillness. It is not every day one gets professionally photographed while wrestling with a particularly stubborn and incooperative wheel, is it? Katerina carefully lowered her camera, a faint attractive blush rising on her cheeks as she turned to face him more directly, but her gaze remained steady and surprisingly open. As she replied in a soft, clear voice that carried easily in the quiet air. "Please forgive my intrusion," she said, her tone sincere and gentle, her eyes briefly studying his face. "But I often find there's a certain untold story in everyday objects and occurrences, even a flat tire on a hot day. It has its own unique character, don't you think?" Her unique and rather philosophical perspective, so calmly and earnestly stated, intrigued Andrew much more than he would have thought possible, prompting him to lean casually against the warm metal of the car, momentarily forgetting the pressing urgency of his ongoing repair. They began to talk then, the initial layer of awkwardness between strangers quickly melting away under the shared, pervasive warmth of the August afternoon, their voices starting to weave a new, unexpected thread of connection into the otherwise silent and still country air. Andrew spoke with articulate enthusiasm about his life as a civil engineer, his descriptive words painting vivid pictures of the massive, ambitious dam project that was steadily taking shape near the city of Dnipropetrovsk, a powerful testament to post-war rebuilding efforts and future national hopes. He described in compelling detail the intricate, multifaceted challenges of diverting powerful rivers, pouring thousands of tons of reinforced concrete, and managing a large, diverse workforce, his eyes alight with the unmistakable passion he held for his demanding creative work for building something lasting and truly significant. Katerina listened with rapt attention, her head tilted slightly to one side in a gesture of deep concentration, occasionally asking thoughtful, insightful questions that clearly showed a genuine curiosity about his complex world of precise calculations, blueprints, and large-scale construction. Then in her turn she shared aspects of her own story, explaining with quiet pride that she was the daughter of the local village blacksmith, a traditional craft of intense, fire-resounding hammer blows and shaped metal that had profoundly influenced her upbringing and her view of the world. Her father's busy forge, she explained with a fond smile, was a magical place of constant transformation and inherent artistry, where raw, unyielding iron and steel were skillfully bent, hammered, and molded by fire and strength into objects of both practical utility and surprising rustic beauty. And as for her dedicated pursuit of photography, it was a deeply cherished passion, a meaningful way to earn a little extra income by skillfully capturing the fleeting moments of local celebrations, the joy of weddings, and the vibrant tapestry of village festivals and traditions. She confessed with a touch of wistfulness her quiet, persistent dream of one day owning a small, dedicated photography studio of her own, a tranquil place where she could truly dedicate herself to her art, capturing the subtle, fleeting moments and the often overlooked hidden beauty of everyday life. Her camera, she explained, holding it up slightly as if to emphasize its importance, was her personal window to the wider world, allowing her to frame unique stories, preserve precious memories, and express her artistic vision, a passion that resonated deeply within her very being. Andrew found himself increasingly captivated by her gentle yet fervent enthusiasm and her undeniably artistic soul, a sensibility so very different from his own structured world of precise engineering and logical problem-solving, yet he found it strangely and wonderfully complementary to his own nature. He genuinely admired her remarkable ability to find and appreciate inherent beauty in the most mundane of subjects, such as his unfortunate flat tire, and the quiet, unassuming strength and self-possession that emanated from her as she spoke with such clarity about her personal dreams and aspiration. As their easy conversation flowed, Andrew diligently continued his work on the problematic tire, his physical movements gradually becoming less strained and more efficient, perhaps significantly eased by the pleasant and welcome distraction of their engaging and uplifting dialogue. Katerina watched him with a quiet focus, occasionally offering a small helpful tool from his scattered kit before he asked, or simply providing a comforting, steadying presence by the roadside, her silent support unspoken yet distinctly palpable and appreciated by Andrew. The sun, a huge orange orb, began to dip noticeably lower in the vast azure sky, casting elongated, dancing shadows across the fields and road, subtly reminding Andrea of the passing time. Yet the earlier feeling of pressing urgency now felt considerably less acute. Finally, with a last, decisive turn of the heavy wrench and a grunt of effort, the spare wheel was securely and correctly bolted into place, the damaged, deflated one now resting forlornly on the dusty ground beside the car. A silent testament to their unexpectedly shared interlude. Andrew straightened up, wiping his perspiring brow with the back of his hand, leaving an accidental smudge of dark grease on his cheek. And he looked directly at Katerina, a new, spontaneous idea rapidly forming in his mind. An idea that felt both surprising and remarkably bold. During their conversation, he had learned that she was, coincidentally, also on her way to the city of Dnipro, carefully carrying several precious, undeveloped rolls of film from a recent village wedding she had professionally photographed, needing them processed at a specific lab there. Since it appears we are both heading towards Dnipro, Andrew began, a hopeful and slightly hesitant note underpinning his voice. Perhaps you would allow me the distinct pleasure of giving you a lift into the city. It would truly be my pleasure after your kind company. Katerina considered his unexpected invitation for a brief thoughtful moment, her clear eyes meeting his searching gaze, and then a warm genuine smile spread slowly across her expressive face, as she graciously accepted his kind and timely offer of a ride. The deep blue Moskvich 401, now fully restored, and back on all four functioning wheels, smoothly resumed its interrupted journey along the highway, now carrying not one, but two unexpectedly hopeful souls towards the bustling, distant city of Dnipro. The mood palpably lighter. Inside the confines of the car, the atmosphere was completely transformed from Andrew's earlier solitary drive. What had begun as a routine, task-focused journey for him was now filled with animated, lively conversation, spontaneous shared laughter, and a growing sense of comfortable companionship. They spoke easily of many simple things from favorite foods to childhood memories, and also of more profound dreams and aspiration for the future as the vast fields of golden sunflowers blurred rhythmically past the car windows, their heavy heads seeming to nod in the warm late afternoon sun. Katerina, with her natural storytelling ability, shared charming and humorous anecdotes from the various village weddings she had photographed, recounting tales of overly nervous grooms, undeniably radiant brides, and the joyous, sometimes wonderfully chaotic, heartfelt celebrations of new love and community. Andrew, in turn, feeling more relaxed and open than he had in a long time, spoke more about the colossal dam project, not just focusing on the intricate technicalities, but also on the vital human element of the strong camaraderie of the diverse workforce, the shared vision of a brighter, more prosperous future it clearly represented. They discovered, much to their mutual delight, several shared tastes in popular music of the era. Snippets of half-remembered songs hummed softly and harmoniously between them, and a similar, deep appreciation for the quiet, unassuming pastoral beauty of the Ukrainian countryside unfolding majestically around them. Small, personal secrets were carefully exchanged during that drive, not perhaps secrets of great global import or dramatic revelation, but the kind of small, intimate personal confidences that subtly build sturdy bridges of trust and understanding between two hearts tentatively opening up to one another. Katerina might have confessed a silly, lingering childhood fear of thunderstorms, or Andrew a fleeting moment of profound self-doubt about his ambitious and demanding career path. These shared vulnerabilities served only to foster a swift and surprisingly deep sense of intimacy between them. The remainder of the journey towards Dnipro felt remarkably, almost magically short to both of them, each passing kilometer drawing them perceptibly closer, not just geographically to their destination, but also emotionally and spiritually to each other. A silent, profound understanding blossoming effortlessly between them. The quality of the light outside the car windows softened further as evening approached, painting the vast overarching sky in breathtaking, delicate hues of soft orange, gentle pink, and deep purple as they finally approached the bustling, brightly lit outskirts of the large industrial city. Andrew found himself glancing over at Katerina more and more often as they drove, genuinely admiring the elegant way the fading ethereal light caught her thoughtful profile, the gentle, happy curve of her smile as she spoke, and the sparkle in her intelligent eyes. He realized, with a sudden, profound sense of quiet wonder and dawning realization, that this completely unexpected encounter, born from a frustrating flat tire, had somehow become the most significant and memorable part of his entire day. Perhaps even of his entire year so far.